We will not focus on that anymore. We will focus on the games that we have this weekend. The first one I want to start with, Sean, Georgia versus Missouri.
I wanted to start with USC Washington.
Did I ask?
Well, you said this is the one that I wanted to start with.
Well, this is the one I'm starting with. I'm driving the car. You can sit in the back seat and go. We're going where I'm taking us. Okay,
you're a bad driver.
We're going to Georgia, Missouri, and we're driving through as many red lights as possible.
Okay, gotcha.
Look, I really think that this game, Sean, reminds me, not fully, but reminds me a little bit of the Georgia-Tennessee game from last year, in the sense that Missouri is this really exciting, explosive offense. It was before we really were taking Georgia seriously, where we didn't rank Missouri at number one. We didn't go that far. But there's a lot of hype around this Missouri team. There's even speculation this week that some people are saying, could this be the upset? They almost did it last year. Could this be the week that Georgia gets caught not paying attention? What happened last year? Georgia was pissed off because nobody was taking them seriously. And we've seen so far this season them progressively get more and more pissed off on a weekly basis. We're at the point where Missouri's just on a collision course. They are the squirrel that's crossing the street with the 18-wheeler that is just barreling down going 100 miles an hour. I'm sorry, Missouri, but this one is not going to go very favorably for you.
Georgia kind of has to piss themselves off, and they do a lot of woe is me Georgia act, like they've been counting us out our whole time here. No, you've been a number one for forever. But you need to do that when you're that good, and it's refreshing to see them wake up when they're playing a ranked team. And then we get to see what Georgia's really made of, or an SEC team. That Florida beat down last week should let everybody know that they didn't go anywhere. That even though, it's still, they're still the team that the national championship is running through. So Missouri, it's a good luck because November, December, and then eventually January for Georgia is when they continue to reach their peak. They got through October. Cool. That's good. They got through October undefeated. Expectation met. Now let's set it again in November, raise it in December, and close it out in January, which I think just about everybody's expecting them to do. I mean, the speculation of, could Michigan give them a game? Let's see. Let's see what they do against Ohio State. That's going to be the test. Right now, just looking at this Missouri team, like, they're a little chaotic. They can give me some chaos, and that'd be great. But I think when Georgia takes themselves seriously, there's no one stopping them.
No. I mean, there's not. And for me, what gets brought up when you talk about this game, yes, Luther Burden is fantastic. He's
very good.
He's the best receiver in the SEC right now. Maybe you could argue Malik Neighbors is in that conversation, but the guy is unstoppable. But I see some limitations with that offense where Brady Cook's best performances have come going up against weaker secondaries. And he's one of those guys who is above average, but excels when everything is spelled out in front of him. But when things are a little bit more complicated than that, when there's really good coverage or there's confusing blitz pressure coming in his face, how does he react? And we saw how he reacted in the end of the game against LSU. He threw 2 picks. He did not play well at the end of that game. And I think that that's more reflective of how this game is going to play out. I understand that this Georgia pass rush, I think they're like 77th or something like that in terms of getting home with sacks. They still are very talented along that front. Like I'm really, really in on that big group. But the really scary part is knowing with Malachi Starks and Kamari Lassiter, that whole group, that secondary is young, but it is without a doubt the best secondary in the country. Missouri hasn't faced anyone like that. They haven't. They have not been challenged like this. I'd love to see what Luther Burden does. Does he power through that? Does he find ways to get open and still have a really good game because they need him to? But, dude, that is going to be a daunting challenge. We saw what happened with Tennessee last year when the same crap happened where they were like, look at all these receivers, look at this passing attack, and it got locked down.
I think last year's Tennessee team was better than this Missouri team. So looking at it like, all right. And for Georgia would love nothing more than to confuse and disrupt on defense, which they will do. That's maybe what they're best at defense is knowing exactly how much and when to send the pressure. But they can't have 3 first-rounders on the D-line alone every single year. This year, it's a little bit different, but I wouldn't want to block them. Missouri's sitting here. They still have to scheme. That O-line room still has to scheme big time because there's going to be a time where they bring 7. And when they bring 7, 2 are going to get there. And does your quarterback have a hot read? Do you have it? Are you chipping? Are you bringing a protect just in case they decide to green dog? What happens? And they are just a little bit better than everybody else at scheming up a defense.
Javon Foster and that Missouri offensive line, it's been pretty good. Dude, man, this is just another animal. I'm not trying to disrespect Missouri, and I know that it's going to get painted like that. I'm probably going to title the video, Missouri's going to get dominated by Georgia. Yes, so that does sound disrespectful. But look, all I'm getting at here, man, unless you're a top 5 team, you're just not going to provide a challenge for them. You're just not. Call that hubristic. Call it whatever you want. I'm getting killed in the Ruffino and Joe comments because they said the same exact shit I'm saying right now on that show too. Someone called me a Georgia homer, by the way, which is hilarious.
Well, you are.
How?
What do you mean how?
The Georgia fan base doesn't like me. I'm not
You've been
claimed by
glazing
either
them
of them
for years.
I literally was roasted by Georgia fans last year for what I said about Stetson Bennett. So
I saw
I'm not
you
claimed by
had
either.
a couple darties in a Georgia hat.
I'm gonna kick your ass. I did. You stink.
Are you telling people that you didn't root for Georgia?
I didn't. I rooted for TCU last year. What are you talking about?
You were going to go there.
You're an asshole. You're an asshole. You stink.
There we go.
Nice job turning your light off.
My power strip.
Real technical professional over here. This guy. Look, final thought. It's not disrespect. It's just reality.